Hi, I'm Rich Trumka, president of the AFL-CIO. I just came off the Hill lobbying some undecided members on the health care bill. Guess what? We're going to get health care reform bill done because of your efforts.
That was union icon and AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka back in 2010. You could hear him there proudly declaring his support for the president's massive health care plan. It was people like Trumka and Teamsters President Jimmy Hoffa who helped to rally thousands of people across this country to support the president's landmark overhaul of our health care system. But just a few years later, it seems that some of those early supporters are dramatically changing their tune on Obamacare. This is a huge development. Look at this, back in 2010, Hoffa said, quote, "It was critical that Congress pass this bill to help get our economy moving again. High health care costs are burdening our employers," which is, that was one of the main lines for the administration on why it should be passed as well, you remember? But just a few days ago, look at this, in a letter to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. Hoffa said, quote, "We can no longer stand silent in the face of elements of the Affordable Care Act that will destroy the very health and well-being of our members along with millions of other hardworking Americans." Well, that's a change of tune. Leslie Marshall joins me, syndicated radio talk show host, Fox News contributor, and Chris Plant, who's a radio talk show host. Leslie, what's going on here?
Well, this actually isn't a change of tune. It's a change of venue from behind closed doors to everybody in the public now knows. I actually had a Teamsters representative on my talk show last night, and the Teamsters and the unions support the Affordable Care Act, which everyone likes to call Obamacare now. But they have always said that they didn't want employees to be penalized. However, it was essential that employers not be burdened with the high cost of health care. If you remember, Martha and Chris, you know as well, originally, prior to the Affordable Care Act being passed, we were talking about a public option which wasn't a part of this watered down version of the bill. So this is not a change for the unions. It's certainly not a change for Teamsters President Hoffa. This is simply saying, look, we don't want employees, our employees, union employees or otherwise, to be downgraded from full-time positions and to lose their wages, their health care, and their pensions.
Yeah, but Leslie and Chris, I want you to address this. This discussion has been going on since the whole debate over this health care plan. That people said, you know what's going to happen, right? Everybody's going to want to move their workers to part-time because they're going to be overburdened and they're not going to be able to create, businesses that can grow and hire more employers under the weight of this health care plan. Chris, I mean, this is what did they not hear about that part when this was all discussed?
Well, first of all, to pretend that it's not a complete change of tune is absurd. These people spent millions of dollars getting Democrats elected, supporting President Obama. As you just saw, lobbying people on Capitol Hill in order to get Obamacare through. They were a part of the team. And now, finally, as Nancy Pelosi warned us, you had to vote for the bill to find out what's in it. The unions found out what was in it, and it's a nightmare. They're talking about it shattering everything that they've worked for more than a century, destroying the underpinnings of the 40-hour work week, costing them more money, taking their Cadillac, their gold-plated health care plans away from them that they've been fighting for generations. And along comes Barack Obama, the destroyer, and suddenly, apparently, I don't know, somebody read a passage of Obamacare or something, and they realized what's in it. This is what it's doing, not just to the unions, and what they want is carve-outs for themselves. It's going to do the same thing for the rest of the country.
All right, Leslie, let's read a little bit more of this letter that was signed by, as we said, James Hoffa of the Teamsters and also two of the largest heads of the service unions in this country. It says, when you and the president, he's talking about Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid there, when you and the president sought our support for the Affordable Care Act, you pledged that if we liked our health plans, we could keep them. Sadly, that promise is under threat. And then they go on to say, basically, you better deal with this, because they say, we raised money to secure this vision, and now this vision has come back to haunt us. I don't know how that's not a change of tune either, Leslie.
Right.
I don't think it's a change of tune, and I'll tell you, I am a supporter of the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. I am a Democrat. I'm also a union supporter. And what the unions are saying is keep your promise. And the promise was, and the guarantee was to all Americans, union workers or otherwise, that we would not have to change health care plans. Employers that have and provide the health care and the insurance for their employees would not have to change their health care plan. And that is not what they feel is happening. So this is not a change of heart on Obamacare. This is keep the promise that we have as Americans, unions included, who work so hard to help support the passage of this legislation. I don't feel that's a change of heart at all. This is regarding one specific area of the act.
No, I mean, to me, the biggest fear that this has struck in the unions is this issue of moving a full-time worker to part-time. I mean, their membership has shrunk dramatically over the years. It's doing okay in the public sector, but in the private sector, it has shrunk dramatically. So, Chris, I mean, this is protecting turf to a great extent for them, is it not?
Well, it's asking for carve-outs for themselves and protections for themselves, which they'll probably get because this whole thing is such a debacle. I mean, look, one of the primary authors, Senator Max Baucus, a Democrat, has said that this thing is a train wreck in the making. Harry Reid actually agreed with him. The unions, who are the backbone supporters, they got out the troops, they're raising the money, they're getting their guys elected, and now they finally apparently read what's in it, and they're as horrified as the rest of us ought to be, and they want nothing to do with it. I mean, do we need Barack Obama to come out himself and say that this thing is just a disaster and we need to start over from scratch before, Leslie, and God bless you, you're fighting the fight, you're trying. But this thing is indefensible, and when the unions have turned against it, their primary author in the United States Senate has turned against it, and Harry Reid agrees with them, let's start over again, shall we?
All right. Leslie's shaking her head really quick, Leslie. I got to go.
Bottom line is they're not doing this for the benefit of... Okay, that is quick.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time, and we're going to talk about a lot more. Thank you very much to Chris Plant and to Leslie as well, Leslie Marsh.